Principles of Learning and Teaching, Brown. Chapter 9, Communicative Competency. Michael Cannell and Meryl Swain defining communicative competence was carried out by Michael Cannell and Meryl Swain. In the definitions, there are 4 different components or subcategories make up the construct and communicative competence. The first 2 subcategories reflect the use of the linguistic system itself. The last 2 define the functional aspect of communication. Grammatical competence. Grammatical competence is that aspect of communicative competence that encompasses knowledge of lexical items and of rules of morphology, syntax, sentence grammar semantics, and phonology, according to Cannell and Swain in 1980s. It is a competence that we associate with mastering the linguistic code of a language. The linguistic competence of Hyams and Paulson that was referred in the book. The second subcategory is discourse competence, the complement of grammatical competence in many ways. It's the ability to have to connect sentences in stretches of discourse and to form a meaningful whole out a series of utterances. Discourse means everything from simple spoken conversation to lengthy written text, for example, articles, books, and the like. While grammatical competence focuses on sentence-level grammar, discourse competence is concerned with intersentential relationships. Now let's move on to social linguistics competence. It's the knowledge of the social-cultural rules of language and discourse. This type of competence requires an understanding of the social context in which language is used, the roles of the participants, the information they share, and the functions of the interaction. Only in a full context of this kind can judgments be made on the appropriateness of the particular utterance. The fourth subcategory is a strategic competence, a construct that is exceedingly complex. Cannell and Swain in 1980s described strategic competence as the verbal and non-verbal communication strategies that may be called into action to compensate for breakdowns in communication due to performance variables or due to insufficient competence. Savignon in 1983 paraphrases this as the strategies that one used to compensate for imperfect knowledge of rules, of limiting factors in the application such as fatigue, distraction, and intention. In short, it is a competence underlying our abilities to make repairs, to cope with imperfect knowledge, and to sustain communication through paraphrase, circulation, repetition, hesitation, avoidance, and guessing, as well as shifts in the register and style. Now let's go to language function. According to Michael Halliday in 1973, he provided one of the best exposition of language function, used the terms to mean the purpose of nature of communication, and outlined 7 different functions of language. First of all, it's the instrumental function. This function serves to manipulate the environment, to cause certain events to happen. Sentences like this, court finds you guilty, on your mark, get set go, or don't touch the stove, have an instrumental function. They're communicative acts that have a specific force. They bring out about a particular condition. Next one is a regulatory function of language, is the control of events. While such control is sometimes difficult to distinguish from the instrumental function, regulatory functions of language are not much of unleashed of certain power as a maintenance of control. are pronounced you guilty and sentenced you to 3 years in prison serves an instrumental function, but the sentence upon good behavior you will be eligible for parole in 10 months serves more of a regulatory function. The regulation of encounters among people, approval, disapproval, behavior control, setting laws and rules, all these regulatory features of language. Let's move on to representational function of a language. This function is the use of language to make statements, convey facts and knowledge, explain or report. It is to represent reality as one sees it. The sun is hot. The president gave a speech last night. All this is the representations. Number 4, the interactional function of language serves to ensure social methods. Petit communion, Malinovsky's term referring the communicative contact between an amount of human beings that simply allows them to establish social contact and to keep channels of communication open is a part of interactional function of language. Number 5, we have the personal function. This function allows the speaker to express feelings, emotions, personality, and gut level reactions. The person's individuality is usually characterized by his or her use of the personal function of communication in the personal nature of language, mission, effect, and culture of interact. Number 6, the heuristic function involves the language used to acquire knowledge, to learn about the environment. These functions are often conveyed in the form of questions that will lead to answers. Children typically make good use of this function in their typical why questions about everything around them. And last one, we have the imaginative function. This function serves to create imaginary systems or ideas, telling fairy tales, joking, or writing novels about all uses of the imaginative function. Poetry, tongue twisters, puns, or other instances of the pleasurable use of language also fall into this function. Though the imaginative dimensions of language were free to go beyond the real world to soar to the heights of the beauty of language itself, and through the language to create impossible dreams if we so deserve. These 7 different functions of language are neither discrete nor mutually exclusive. All of them complete each other as they are.